All right, so make sure you have your packet out, and we are looking at page 122, starting our lesson 13, absolute value and ordering numbers. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Perfect. And let's get started. So in lesson 12, you learned how to locate positive and negative numbers on a number line. In this lesson, you will learn how to compare the numbers and find their absolute value. Take a look at this problem. The elevation of an object tells you its distance above or below sea level. Negative numbers are used to represent objects below sea level. Positive numbers are used to represent objects above sea level. Okay, so right there, there's a clue. Negative tells you below, positive tells you above. The table shows the elevations of 4 objects. Graph their locations on a number line. Describe the distances of the objects above or below sea level. So it's asking us to do 2 things, graph and describe it. So let's take a look at the table. So we have the mountain, which is a positive 2 in elevation. So that means it is above sea level. The fish is at -1. Okay. The sunken ship is at -4. And an airplane is at +4. So use the math you already know to solve the problem. So letter A says sea level is marked and labeled on the number line. Mark and label the elevation of the objects listed in the table above on the number line. All right, so sea level is at 0. That's our starting point. Okay, that's that flat line right in the center. So we want to graph the objects up here. Okay, so remember that if we are going above sea level, we're talking about positives. So +1, +2, +3, +4, +5, and so on. If we're going below sea level, we're talking about our negatives. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and so on. Okay, so this is above and this is below. Our positives and our negatives. Okay, so then we're graphing each of our points. So remember the mountain was at +2, so I'm going to put a dot here, and I'm going to label it M for mountain. The fish was at -1, so I'm going to put a dot at -1 and label it F for fish. The sunken ship was at -4, so I'm going to put a dot at -4 and label it S for sunken ship. And the airplane was at +4, so let's put a dot at +4 and label it A for airplane. Okay, so we've done everything so far that A has asked us. Let's look at B. How far above sea level is the mountain? So remember, sea level is at 0. We want to know how far. So 2 units. Okay. And we're talking about kilometers, so we would really write this as 2 kilometers. Okay. Letter C, how far below sea level is the school of fish? So from sea level again, we're going down to the fish. So it's just 1 unit. Okay, so 1 unit or 1 kilometer. Okay, below. Right, this one was above, the next one was below. All right, is the airplane above or below sea level? So where's the airplane again? It's up here. So that means it's above sea level. Okay. What 2 objects are the same distance from sea level? Explain how you know. We look at our 4 numbers. The only 2 numbers that are the same is our 4s, okay? One's positive, one's negative. So it's going 4 units up and 4 units down, okay? So the airplane and the sunken ship both have a distance of 4 kilometers from 0, right? One's positive, one's negative, but it's still a distance of 4. Explain how you can find the distances of an object from sea level. Well, what did we do? All we did was count, okay? So you can count how far above or below a number is from 0. It's as easy as that, just counting. All right, let's turn the page. When you answered how far each object is from sea level, you found the absolute value. The absolute value of a number is its distance from 0 on a number line. You're going to need to remember this, okay? Keep that in your head. The absolute value of a number is its distance from 0 on the number line. So the absolute value, see those bars that are around that number? Those are the absolute value bars, okay? Those things, we call them absolute value bars. Okay, they kind of look like goalposts. So the absolute value of -4 means the absolute value of -4, right? That symbol means that. So -4 is 4 units from 0, right? So here's -4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 units from 0. Therefore, the absolute value of -4 is 4. It is equal to 4, okay? Because it is 4 units from 0. Absolute value represents distance, so its value is always greater than or equal to 0. So distance is always greater than or equal to 0. Okay? So the absolute value of 0 is 0. Okay? It's 0 units from itself. Okay? The farther a number is from 0, the greater the number's absolute value. So like if you had the absolute value of -100, it's 100 units from 0. It's very large. In real world situations, the absolute value of a number is often used to describe the situation. The elevation of the fish on the previous page was -1 kilometers. But you could also say that the fish is 1 kilometer below sea level. So remember that negative tells us below. The elevation of the sunken ship is -4 kilometers. But you could say that the sunken ship is 4 kilometers below sea level, right? So look at your number line on the previous page. Which pair of numbers have the same absolute value? How are the numbers related? Explain. So let's go back. Remember we talked about this, about the airplane and the sunken ship both having that same distance of 4, right? So that means their absolute value is the same because that distance is that absolute value. Okay. So 4 and -4 have the same absolute value because their distance from 0 is the same. So positive 4, the absolute value of positive 4 is 4 units from 0, which means it's just 4. The absolute value of negative 4 is also 4 units from 0, which means it's still 4. They both have the same absolute value because distance is always positive because it's just talking about how far is it from 0, right? One is above, one is below, but it's still the distance. Okay? Make sure you complete the assignment attached to this lesson, and we'll do more on Wednesday.